Hello there, Year 9, and welcome to the first lesson on respiration. We're moving on from photosynthesis. This is still part of the bioenergetics section, so looking at energy in organisms. But we finished photosynthesis now, so we're now moving into respiration. The more observant amongst you might realise that this PowerPoint is slightly different. I'm using a different type of PowerPoint on these ones, so do not be alarmed, but there will be a different structure for this, as these ones are being provided by Mr. Pope. Okay, so we're going to start off. We've got the title of today's lesson, that is Aerobic Respiration, and we'll look at what aerobic means if you don't already know. There are two types of respiration, aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Today we're going to be focusing on the aerobic one. So I've got the word equation for respiration and photosynthesis here. Can you state the difference between respiration and photosynthesis? We have discussed this in previous lessons, so you might remember that. However, if you are unsure, have a look at the equations. Then I'd like you to suggest whether respiration is an exothermic or an endothermic reaction, giving a reason for your answer. So you're going to have to remember your lessons in chemistry about what an exothermic and an endothermic reaction is. So which one do you think respiration is? You do not need to write anything, but if you could think about those questions and come up with an answer, that would be great. So if you could pause the video and do that, please. Okay, so hopefully you've had a think about that. What is the difference between respiration and photosynthesis? It's just the other way around. So you can see in respiration, you've got glucose and oxygen going in, whereas that's what comes out of photosynthesis. What comes out of respiration is carbon dioxide and water and energy, but it's what actually goes into photosynthesis. So you've got carbon dioxide, water, and light energy going into photosynthesis. Now, one of those is an exothermic reaction, and one of them is an endothermic reaction. From your chemistry, you should remember that an exothermic reaction is a reaction that gives off energy, whereas an endothermic reaction is one where energy is taken in. So which will respiration be? Well done if you got it. It is exothermic. Therefore, photosynthesis is endothermic because light energy goes into the reaction. So respiration is an exothermic reaction. Photosynthesis is an endothermic reaction. So well done if you managed to answer that. Okay, what do we need to know for this? I know that there isn't the grades on here, and on these ones actually starts at the bottom. So for 1 to 4s, 2 to 4s, we need to be able to state the word equation for aerobic respiration, which was actually on the previous slide, so you're already halfway here. Next one, for 4 to 6, we need to be able to describe respiration as an exothermic reaction. And for the top grades, we need to apply an understanding of respiration to new contexts. And some of the words that we're going to be using today are aerobic, exothermic, respiration, and mitochondria. Hopefully all 4 of those words you are familiar with, but they are very important when talking about this topic. Okay, so this is a snapshot of the specification, what we have as teachers to sort of guide what it is that we are teaching you. This is from AQA, so this is what they can test you on. So if you wanted to have a look through that, then feel free to pause the video and do that. But we are going to be covering all of this in the next few lessons. Okay, so what we're going to do is start off with these gap fillers. You've got the words in blue at the towards the top, we do need to have these sentences written. So what I'd like you to do when I say is pause the video, get the sentences down, and have a go at putting in the words in the blue box into the gaps. A little clue to you is that not all of them will need to be used. So the sentences are: respiration in cells can take place aerobically with blank, or blank without oxygen to transfer blank. Number 2, blank respiration is represented by the equation blank plus oxygen makes blank plus water plus energy. We've also got a sort of challenge activity as well, where you can, underneath the word equation, have a go at converting it into the symbol equation and then balance it. Remember, this is the opposite to photosynthesis. So you should, if you remember photosynthesis, balance symbol equation, should be able to do this pretty easily. So pause the video and have a go at that now, please. Okay, so hopefully we've had a go at these key points before we move on. You will have covered a lot of this in Key Stage 3, so you might remember from then, or from the starter activities we've already done. So respiration in cells can take place aerobically with oxygen, or anaerobically without oxygen to transfer energy. Aerobic respiration is represented by the equation glucose plus oxygen makes carbon dioxide plus water. So there were 6 there, so give yourself 6 out of 6, sorry. Give yourself a mark out of 6 on how many of those you got right from what you would have done at Key Stage 3 or what we've done in a couple of previous lessons. Now, for the challenge activity, you had to convert the word equation into the balanced symbol equation. So we do need to know, all of us need to know, that glucose is C6H12O6. And that's going to be plus 6O2 makes 6 CO2 for carbon dioxide and 6 H2Os for water, which we can see here. Now, you do not need to include energy in the word or the symbol equation, because technically it's not a physical thing, so we wouldn't put it in there, but it's just to remind us that this is giving off energy. So aerobic respiration, as we've said, is an exothermic reaction. That means that energy is transferred to the environment. Energy is given off. And that's the whole purpose of respiration. Whereas photosynthesis, we need to remember, is endothermic, because energy goes into the reaction. So you can see on the symbol equations, the energy is going in for photosynthesis, endothermic. Energy comes out for aerobic respiration, so is exothermic. So if you haven't already done so, please can you make a note of that. The photosynthesis is endothermic reaction and why. And aerobic respiration is exothermic and why. So pause the video if you need to do that. Okay, so where in the cell does respiration take place? And this links in to one of our first lessons where we were looking at the different structures in cells. So we've got a cell here, an animal cell, and it's got some of the organelles that are inside an animal cell. One of those is where respiration takes place. But which one of those is where the magic happens? Well done if you knew it is the mitochondria. So one mitochondrion, lots of mitochondria. So we say that respiration takes place in the mitochondria. Can you pop that into a sentence, please? Okay, pause if you need a little bit more time. Now, the mitochondria are very, very special organelles that are very well adapted to their function. So they are tiny rod-shaped organelles, which means that it's part of a cell, it's inside the cell. Sometimes you will see it depicted as kind of little kidney bean-shaped things. It can look like that as well, where it dips in towards the middle, but they are very, very small and kind of rod-shaped. They're found in pretty much all of the eukaryotic cells, so plants, animals, fungal and algal cells as well. Algal being the group protists. Now, why do you think that they have got a folded inner membrane? So you can see in the picture that it's folded up. Why do you think that they have a folded inner membrane? Have a think about it. Okay, well done if you came to the realization. And as I've said before, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be to do with surface area in biology, because if it's folded, it means it's got a larger surface area. So that means you can have maximum amount of aerobic respiration. So can you do a little sketch of a mitochondrion? I would use the top picture for that. And can you say why on your diagram it has a folded inner membrane? So pause the video and do that now, please. Now, the number of mitochondria in a cell will give you information about how active it is. So the more mitochondria there are in a cell, the more active that cell is. And vice versa, if there's less mitochondria, it's a less active cell. We'll talk more about that later. Now, here is a graph that is showing the rate of respiration and a process called active transport. Now, again, this came up in the first chapter that we were doing about active transport. It was one of the ways in which substances can be moved in a cell, and it's directly related to the rate of respiration, which we can see on this graph. So as more respiration occurs, more active transport occurs. But can you pause the video and think about why that is? So you're going to have to think back to the last chapter, a couple of chapters ago, where we were looking at the movement of substances. Why is it that it relies on the rate of respiration? Okay, so hopefully you've had a think about that. And very well done if you remember that active transport requires energy. So energy is needed to move the molecules from low concentration to high concentration, going against or up a concentration gradient. So it needs energy. Active transport needs energy. So well done if you managed to get that. Okay, so the next 4 questions are going to be answered by yourself. So when I say, you're going to leave this video and you're going to find out the answers to the following 4 questions. The first question is, why do living cells need energy? So find out what it needs that energy for. If you find loads and loads of them, just maybe pick out top 4 or 5. How do mammals and birds maintain a constant internal body temperature? So how is it that we stay at 37 degrees Celsius, for instance? Question 3, how do plants use energy for respiration? We did talk about that in last lesson, so you might remember that, or go and find out. And finally, explain why muscle cells have many mitochondria while fat cells have very few. So can you exit this video now and find the answers to those 4 questions and then come back to this video, please? Okay. So hopefully we have had time now to go and find the answers to these 4 questions on your own. Most of you probably using a Google search. Well done if you're doing it the old-fashioned way of using books and things like that. So we're going to go through the answers just to make sure that what you've got in your notes is correct. If you need to make any corrections at any point, please pause the video and do that. So the first question was, why do living cells need energy? And it's to build up large molecules from smaller ones, such as the stuff that we get from digestion. These types of reactions are called synthesis reactions. Synthesis means to make. So for example, when you are eating some Haribo Tangtastic, for instance, that is glucose that is taken into your blood, and then your cells can take that glucose and they can build bigger molecules from that glucose. Question number 2. How do mammals and birds maintain a constant internal environment? So if we are cold, then, or if it is cold, the energy from respiration, the heat energy from respiration will keep us warm. So we need to eat a lot more than, say, a snake does, because they are cold-blooded. They don't need to maintain a constant internal temperature. So we need to eat a lot because a lot of the energy, the chemical energy that we eat, is actually converted into heat energy to keep us warm. However, if it is hot, then we do things like sweat to keep our body cool. Okay, question number 3. How do plants use energy for respiration? We spoke a lot about that in previous ones. So they use it to convert glucose and nitrates into amino acids to build proteins, or into cellulose for their cell walls, things like that. But also they use it for active transport, the same as us. And their really important area for active transport is moving mineral ions, such as nitrates, into the plant through the root hair cells, because it's going from low concentration to high concentration. So well done if you remembered that one. That's probably the trickiest bit to have gotten out of these questions. So well done if you got that. And the last question, explain why muscle cells have many mitochondria while fat cells have very few. It's because muscle cells are very active. So muscle cells need a lot of energy, which they get from respiration, whereas fat cells require very little energy. They don't really do anything apart from store fat. So the fat cells use very little energy, so will only need a few mitochondria. So very well done if you managed to get the answers to those 4 questions. If you need to make any changes to your answers, please pause the video now and do that. Right, so the next bit, you'll be happy to know you do not need to write any of this down, but it's just a quick true or false on these following questions. So first of all, true or false? Respiration occurs in the nucleus of cells. Is that true or false? It's false. It happens in the mitochondria. Respiration is an exothermic reaction. True or false? It is true. It gives energy off. Respiration is limited if temperature gets too high. I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about that one, because you're going to have to apply different bits from different topics we've done in biology. So I'll give you a few seconds. So respiration is limited if temperature gets too high. True or false? It is true. Now, can you think about why that is? Why is it that it's going to be limited if the temperature gets too high? What do you think? Well done if you thought about the enzymes, because they are going to be controlling this reaction. So if the temperature goes too high, enzymes are denatured. Right, next question. Energy released is used to maintain a constant temperature in animals and birds. The answer to that is true. Well done. So part of the the energy comes out as heat energy from respiration, so we can use that to maintain a constant internal temperature. Right, next question. Plants don't respire. True or false? Hopefully, from my many times of nagging on this, we know that it is false. Plants respire. So plants will photosynthesize and they will respire. And the last one, glucose and carbon dioxide are products of respiration. Is that true or false? Well done if you realise that it is false. So carbon dioxide is a carbon dioxide is a product, but glucose is not a product. Glucose goes in, so glucose is a reactant. Well done if you managed to get all 6 of those correct. Okay, so that is it for me on this one. It's only a short initial one. We're going to move on to other types of respiration and the effects of exercising and things like that. What do we need to take away from this lesson? Hopefully we know the word equation for aerobic respiration. It is the opposite to photosynthesis. So if you remember photosynthesis, you can easily do the aerobic respiration one. Describe respiration as an exothermic reaction. So hopefully we'll be able to say that respiration is exothermic because it is giving off energy, or energy is transferred to the environment. Apply understanding of respiration in new contexts. So thinking about respiration, what it is used for, why some cells would have more mitochondria than others, and things like that. So very well done for taking part in this first lesson of respiration. As I say, we're going to be moving on to other types and how it's affected by exercise. So well done. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope you are well, and yeah, you'll hear from me next lesson. Take care and goodbye.